Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters, thank you for listening. Today I'm going to talk about anger management. So my name is Kausar Tai. I'm here on Al Mubarak Radio. Um, Anger management is an important topic, really. Um, there is a lot of anger out there. People do get angry very quickly at times. And there are various strategies that we could deploy to help us to manage our anger. Anger is a natural emotion. So it is something that is inbuilt in every human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to be weak, to get angry at times. And sometimes anger is good for us as well. But there are times that prolonged anger, and a person who is usually not in a positive state of mind is always having negative thoughts. They get angry very quickly and very irritable very quickly. So inshallah, today we'll talk about how best we can manage that. We can also apply some Islamic strategies, Islamic principles as well as to how we can manage our anger. So anger per se is basically a healthy emotion. People might be surprised about that because sometimes if we don't get angry at a situation where we need to get angry, adrenaline to do something, and we get upset and we actually lash out or whatever it might be, but it might be sometimes saving our life. But getting angry on little things, on little matters, on trivial matters is something to be concerned about. And we need to apply certain strategies to help us to do that, inshallah. Because prolonged anger can have serious impact on your health as well. And if you are a person who gets angry very quickly on little matters, then that can hinder your work, your relationship, your friends' circles, and people will perceive you as an angry person. And you might think that getting angry gives you the power and that you'll have your way, but it's not like that. People might abide by what you want to say, and because you're set in your ways, they might think that perhaps there's no point in arguing with this person, we'll just go along with it. And you might think that that has really helped you in terms of whatever circumstances you're in. But deep down, you're creating enmity amongst your friends and your colleagues who you come across. So it is very important that we look at anger very seriously, and how best we can how best we can actually promote friendly relationships, as it were. Because some people get angry on little things, like even getting stuck on the motorway, and we're driving along, and all of a sudden we need to get from A to B. There are certain things that are beyond your control. In those kind of situations are very testing times. But intrinsically, there are different ways of how best you can express your anger. And the way that you express your anger is how kind of a person you are. So expressing your anger in a non-assertive way is something that where you need to really look at how best you can be assertive in that respect. And you might need some mileage in looking at assertiveness, how best you assert yourself in an appropriate way, in a calm way. There is also ways of suppressing anger, and that is really bad, because what you're doing is you're not taking out your anger, but you're suppressing it inside you, and all your thought processes are there. They're all bunged up, and sometimes you might lash out at one specific point, and that is not very good either. There's also the calming situation. This is about calming down inside by way of controlling your outward behavior and controlling your internal responses, letting the feeling of anger subside. So those are the three types of how you can express your anger. So expressing your anger assertively, expressing your anger non-assertively, suppressing your anger, and that could sometimes cause you passive aggression at times. And when you're suppressing it, you might lash out at the wrong time to the wrong people as well. and the other one is calming. So those are the three ways. Effective communication helps you to deal with your anger too. Most people will be willing to listen to you and accommodate your needs if you communicate in an appropriate way, in a respectful way, using non-violence communication. So it's basically being assertive and not aggressive. And you need to realize that certain things that are beyond your control, you cannot change. It's something that is there. But you can't control how you express your anger, because that is totally in your hands. So you cannot control the situation that you fall into or how it makes you feel. That is only natural. But how you control yourself and your anger is all up to you. So anger management is not about suppressing anger. You should not be looking at never getting angry, because this is a normal process. It's a normal emotion. Anger management is all about becoming aware of your underlying feelings and the needs, and developing healthier ways to manage you being upset. So rather than trying to suppress your anger, the objective should be to express the anger in a constructive way, in an assertive way, in a constructive way. Because chronic anger can have an impact on your mental health. Chronic anger consumes a high amount of mental energy, and can cloud your thinking and judgment. Makes it harder to concentrate and see the bigger picture. In turn, it affects your quality of life. It can also lead to stress, depression, and other mental health problems. So these are quite serious aspects that you need to be aware of. When I do the Islamic Leadership and Management course, one of the sessions we have is about people's strengths and weaknesses. And what I've learned over the number of years that I've been delivering these courses, that many people, their weakness is about how best to manage anger. And this is the reason why it's so important that we research further about this, about how this impact on your health. So you need to really identify your negative thought patterns. You may think that it is the external factors that cause you to become angry and frustrated, or insensitive action of other people. However, anger has less to do with what is happening, to more about your own perception and what you think about what is happening to you, and the negative thinking pattern that triggers and fuels your anger. So you need to look at what triggers off your anger. Why do you become angry? And if you look at the triggers, it'll help you to identify what solution you need to have on each of those triggers. And the more you research into this, the more you look at that yourself, and you might even want to have a diary about what triggers off. Why do you get angry? What makes you upset? So try to look at how letting go of unhealthy ways of thinking. So if I can just list you with the negative thought patterns. So sometimes you might be overgeneralizing. For example, you would say, you never consider my work. You never consider my needs. So these are overgeneralizing yourself. Obsessive of being rigid. You just want to have that way. You have a mindset. That's another negative thought pattern. Mind reading and jumping to wrong conclusions. Something has happened and you really think that has happened because of this, and this, or you might personalize it, that it's happened because I've done this, but yet it might not be true. Mostly it's not true. It could be that you are looking out for battles. You strive on it more. So, using your negative thought patterns. And then there's the other one about blame. You get angry and you blame others for every wrong that has happened. So those are the some of the negative thought patterns that can have. So another strategy that you're going to deploy is avoid people, places, and situations that bring about anger. So who makes you angry? Avoid those people. What makes you angry? Maybe you might be visiting a place or some situation where they might be having a historical connection. Situations, places, and people who get you angry, avoid those. So you need to assess your daily routine and try to identify activities that trigger and irritate your angry feelings. Avoid negative people or those group of friends who make you feel angry, um, who might want to argue with you all the time. Don't be with them. And avoid places that trigger bad memories or negative emotions. Sometimes you might want to do a reality check. When you start getting upset about something, take a moment to think about the situation and ask yourself, how important is it in the overall scheme of things? So look at the vision, look at the strategy rather than the smaller parts. Sometimes you need to look at the bigger picture. Is it worth getting angry about? Is it worth getting angry about? Is it worth ruining the rest of your day? And is your response appropriate to the situation? Is it balanced? Do you have control over the matter? What control do you have? Is it worth taking action, or is it better to just move away? And is it worth your time? So these are the reality check that you need to look at. It's always better to be fair and respectful all the time. Effective communication and good interpersonal skills helps you to win hearts and minds of people, not by being angry. A good technique to manage your anger is when a situation arises unexpectedly and you feel you are getting upset and your temperature is rising, then walk away and complete the exercise uh, that I've explained to you earlier. Your reality check, um, those thought processes that are there, are they really true? Have you checked it out? Or is it just your perception, your negative perception? But walking away from a situation really helps you to um, control yourself a little bit more. Because if you're still in that situation and it gets you angry, you might lash out. You might speak something that you might regret. And we'll talk about a little bit about what the Islamic perspective is on this. But those people who get angry very quickly and who are consistently an angry person, there are health consequences to them, because health issues that are linked to anger, unresolved anger include high blood pressure, and this is a serious thing, serious matter. So rather than treating how you can treat your high blood pressure, look at the root cause of your high blood pressure. It could be the fact that you become angry so quickly, and help that really enhances your uh, high blood pressure. Heart attack. Just imagine, angry people could easily get a heart attack. Depression. So depression and anxiety goes hand in hand. You people also, it is said that there are people who get colds and flu very easily. Those people who are get angry very quickly. There's also listed here by the medics um, problems with digestion. Just imagine. So it's not a. Um, it is an important issue here. But all this, just imagine, if this is what causes these symptoms by you being angry, then there is something that you can do something about. You can really control your anger. You can manage your anger. Dealing with anger, you have to first recognize the anger. And the signs of anger are this: you breathe faster, you breathe more quickly, preparing you for action. Usually, it's this flight and fright situation where when a person is in a situation where um, they are confronted with something, some danger perhaps, it's either you fight it or you flight or you run away from it. You breathe more quickly, as I said. um, tension in your shoulders, clenching your fist. Sometimes it might be helpful to count to 10. You know, breathe deeply, breathe slowly and deeply, and count to 10, and breathe slowly. But the most important aspect about anger is think about how you think about things. Look at the way you think. Look at the outlook in life. What makes you angry? So what I'll talk to you about now is what is the Islamic perspective of anger management. What is the Islamic perspective? Anger, it is said, is one of the evil whispers of shaitan, which leads to so many evils and tragedies, of which only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows its full extent. So anger is one of the evil whispers of shaitan. So about that, there is some advice that the Prophet ﷺ gives. Abu Huraira, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, narrated that a man said to the Prophet, advise me. And the Prophet ﷺ just simply said, do not become angry and furious. The man then asked again, advise me. And the Prophet ﷺ repeated the same words, do not become angry and furious. And it came from this side and this side. And the answer was simply for that person, do not become angry. So just imagine you can control your anger, because this is a recommendation from the Prophet ﷺ. On a parable about a person who gets angry is this. Once the Prophet ﷺ once asked his companions, who among you should you consider a strong man? And they all replied, the one who can defeat so and so in a wrestling match. And our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, that is not so. That is not so. A strong man is the one who can control himself when he is angry. A strong man is the one who can control himself when he is angry. And this is from Bukhari and Muslim. So you might think you're a strong person. You might think that you're a brave person. You might think you're very strong in wrestling or whatever it might be, but you're only strong and brave if you can control your anger. So this is the hadith of the Prophet. And in the Quran, it is said, chapter 2, verse 30, so Surah Baqarah, verse 30, and when your Lord said to the angels, I am creating successes on the earth, they said, will you create on it those who will spill blood and corruption? Although we celebrate your praise and extol your holiness. He said, I know what you do not know. I know what you do not know. So the angels were saying, are you going to create successes on the earth who will spill blood and spread corruption? Although the angels are saying, we spread your praise and extol your holiness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I know what you do not know. And Sheikh Hassan al-Basri said that one of the signs of the believers is that anger does not prevail over them. One of the signs is that anger does not prevail over them. It is said that according to Abu Dawud, the Prophet ﷺ said, anger is the devil, and the devil has been created from water. Sorry, the devil is created from fire, and fire is extinguished by water. Therefore, when any of you become angry, you should perform your ablutions. You should perform your ablutions. This is from Abu Dawud. And another saying, the three things are part of good morals of a believer. When he is overcome by anger, his anger should not drive him to falsehood. When he is happy, his happiness should not take him beyond the bounds of what is right. When he has power, he should not stake a claim to something which is not his. And this is according to At-Tarbani on the authority of Anas ibn Malik. So there are very important messages here. And if you look at it in history, our Prophet ﷺ never got angry. He never took revenge, despite the fact that atrocities were committed by the non-Muslims, by the Quraysh. And if you look at the stories, what happened in Taif, where our beloved Prophet ﷺ went to the chiefs of Taif to to give the message of Islam, and he was ridiculed, he was insulted, and on his way back, the chiefs had even um, sent youth to throw stones at our beloved Prophet ﷺ. And this was so hard for him. The actual stones that were thrown meant that he even started to bleed profusely, and even his sandals got clogged with blood. And the angels came and said that if you say so, we could crush all these people with these two mountains. So the angels of mountains said, we can crush all these people of Taif because of what they had done to you. And our beloved Prophet just said simply, no, perhaps their progeny may embrace Islam one day. Perhaps their offspring may embrace Islam. And this is exactly what had happened. People from this city, their progeny embrace Islam. And in fact, some of the first people there are the ones who brought Islam in the Indian subcontinent. We know the story about the Jewish woman who used to throw rubbish at our beloved Prophet ﷺ's doorstep every day. And every time our Prophet ﷺ just cleared the path and went along his business, never got angry. On one occasion, it didn't happen like this. And he was concerned about her. ﷺ. And when he went inside, she was on her deathbed. He just prayed for her. And she started crying. And she embraced Islam before she passed away. So just imagine non-violent communication, calmness in his efforts of talking to somebody politely and kindly. You can change people so much so that people embrace Islam. He never got angry. He never took revenge. He was never upset about it. And these are the messages that we need to take ourselves in terms of anger. We also know about this situation where our beloved Prophet in his masjid, a Bedouin came and he started to urinate, either because he didn't know that this is a place of worship or for malicious reason, whatever it might be. And the Sahaba were so furious about how this guy started to urinate in the most sacred part of the masjid. And the Prophet just said to the Sahaba, leave him alone, let him finish his urination, I'll say a few words. And he just politely and calmly said to the man, this is not a place of urination, it's a place of worship. And the Bedouin saw all this commotion that the Sahabas were making. The Bedouin just said to the Prophet Muhammad that only you and I should go to paradise. None of these should go to paradise, implying none of the Sahaba who were going to take this action should go to paradise. And our beloved Prophet just simply said, Allah is more merciful than that. Allah is more merciful than that. Completely calmed the situation down. On another occasion, one guy came from behind our beloved Prophet and pulled his collar from behind so profusely that he had a red mark on his neck. And he just said to him simply, give me some of your wealth. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to Allah. And the Prophet completely looked at him, smiled, and said to the Sahaba, give him some of the wealth from the Bayt al-Mal. And the guy actually completely calmed down. So he wasn't angry, he wasn't upset, he didn't ridicule the guy, just calmly explained to him and diffused the situation. So we need to look at how our beloved Prophet responded at situations where in some certain circumstances we would become angry. Our Prophet never got angry. The only time he got upset and angry was for people who are not following the commandments of Allah. He never got angry on personal reasons for personal matters. Just imagine. And we know the story about Ali ibn Talib, when he was fighting in the war, the leader of the non-Muslim army attacked him. And during this confrontation, um, Hazrat Ali was able to overcome him, and he's about to slay him with a sword, and he spat on him, and he spat at him. And Hazrat Ali just stopped and did not kill him and just let him go. And the man started running after him and said, "Why didn't you kill me when you had the chance?" And Hazrat Ali just simply said, "I have no personal animosity toward you. I was fighting you because of your disbelief in and the rebellion against Allah. Had I killed you after you spat on my face, it would have been because of my personal revenge, which I do not wish to take." And upon hearing that, the man immediately accepted Islam. So Hazrat Ali, just imagine, was not angry, did not, you know, kill this person, in fact. And look at the consequences behind that. Look at those actions that we need to learn from those situations that we could apply today in our lives as well. After all, man has been created weak. Man was created weak. And this is the reason why our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, "Shake hands and rancor will disappear. Give gifts to each other and love each other, and enmity will disappear." And the recommendations from our Islamic scriptures is where our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, if you are not able to defeat anger, but you can control it, one of the ways to control it and achieve this controlling is to observe the following tips. If you're standing and you become angry, change the position of your body. So if you're standing, sit down. And if you're still angry, then lie down. So if you become angry, if you sit down and you're still angry, you lie down. And that will subside your anger. So this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And another aspect is making an ablution, as mentioned earlier, and offer 2 rakat supplementary prayer. And we must remember the rewards and virtues of being patient and being merciful and forgiving. So we're required to forgive people. We're required to have mercy on people, and being patient. Because whatever happens, whatever calamity befalls upon us, it was meant for us. It was meant for us. For example, we know that from a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is according to Muslim, when our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, "How wonderful is the situation of the believer, for all his affairs are good. If something good happens to him, he gives thanks for it, and that is good for him. If something bad happens to him, he bears it with patience, and that is good for him also. This does not apply to anyone but a believer." This is according to Muslim. The believer is always gaining, and the reward for his deeds is always multiplying, no matter what happens to him, good or bad. And this is the reason why we shouldn't worry about things. If things get, make us angry because of the situation that we're in, then we shouldn't be worrying about the situation that we're in because of this hadith. But also, there is no good in most of the secret talks, save in him who orders sadaqah, charity. And he who does this, seeking the good pleasure of Allah, we shall give him a great reward. So, inviting good, forbidding evil, and Doing that is part and parcel of a great reward, but also relief from worry and distress. One of the good ways of, in fact, one of the good ways of relieving stress and upsetness and anger is being kind to others. One good means to removing worry, distress, and anxiety is to be kind to people in word and deed. The first beneficiary of this is yourself. Well, these are sort of important messages that we can learn from. And one of the greatest ways of looking at our thoughts is to focus on the present state of mind. What's happened has happened. Sometimes going to be in the future. What's happened in the past has happened. It'll never come back again. And don't dwell on it too much, because that might help you. That might really help trigger anger thoughts and negative thoughts. Because for us, Allah is sufficient. Allah says, and whoever puts his trust in Allah, then he will suffice for him. This is Surah 65, verse 3, chapter 65, verse 3. And if something bad happens, if things bad happen, or there is the fear of such, then you should count the many blessings that you are still enjoying, both spiritual and worldly, and compare them with the bad things that have happened. For when you compare them, you will see the many blessings that you are enjoying, and this will make the bad things appear less serious. So there are many messages there for us to pursue with, inshallah. Shall we end it here? Jazakallah khair for listening, and we shall be back on another session on personal development soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is shorter session.